Hey everybody, Dauntless here, and welcome back to another episode of Space Quest Zero Replicated. Now, I have been off this game for a little bit, just, a couple days here and there. Nothing too long. So, I have just woken up. It is about 9 o'clock in the morning here. I had 2 days off in a row, so ended up doing some other stuff here and there, and then I was like, and I'll, I should probably actually use some of that free time to make some videos. But anyway, let's see. Rule 1 of how to play in a Space Quest adventure game, look at everything. So, let's try this. The swamp is rather clean, especially for swamp water. Yeah, that's actually kind of a interesting thing right there. And except for a slightly green tint, you can make out most of the swamp bottom. That's actually kind of an interesting little bit of dialogue right there. And that kind of goes back to my points about, like, looking at stuff and, things like that. Like, in a game like this, when you look at something, you want to try and add a little flavor text. You may notice I have this thing I do every single time I look at something. Like, if I do look, rock, look at that. Look at the dialogue there. It doesn't need to have that much, right? But in a lot of adventure games, they'll go, it's a rock. And you may notice my general response is, well, thanks for that. Or something like that. And the reason is because, even in real life, if you're going to look at something, right, while you consciously may say, it's a phone, right? Your brain looks at it and goes, this is a phone, I use it to call people, I have little app games on here I use to waste time when I'm, waiting somewhere for something, or when I'm on break at work. It's one of the main connections with my wife when she's at work, stuff like that, just little tidbits of information. And so, if even for a rock, is my lighting doing that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to turn this light off and hopefully it'll stop it from doing that. At least I can only hope. But anyway, but basically, even if you look at a rock, your brain is going to add a little extra detail to everything you look at. So, for example, like this. The area is littered with an assortment of large, smooth stones which nestle in the thick pads of the leafy clover covering the jungle floor. I mean, you may not need to get that, have that much dialogue, but even so, it still adds kind of a little bit. Because if I were to walk outside and look at a rock, I wouldn't just notice, in this case, it goes the direction of, I'm not going to just notice that rock. I'm going to notice a lot of the rocks around it and kind of the setting they're in. And it adds a bit of life to the world around you. So, and then, the grass is apparently using the same thing, but, obviously, you can't be expected to add that kind of dialogue to absolutely everything. But if you can, great, because it helps bring the world to life. Especially considering the game, is obviously about as low-end graphics as you can get. Luke. The bushes in this area are thick and leafy, with small patches of thorns and vines. Alright, well, let's go explore a little bit. And I've already saved. I was like, I'm going to save. Oh, I think there's something up there. The area is packed with dense foliage. Just in case it might foil me. The air is balmy, and the occasional pest bites at your skin. Thick bushes block the way to the north, while the way seems clear to the east and west. The bushes in this area. Okay, there's a small piece of fruit growing on one of the bushes. Well, let's go try and take it. And then we'll eat it. You pluck the soft fruit from its twig. Alright, so, see how that works? You know, I probably should have saved before I took it, because if you remember in Space Quest 3, you can take stuff and die because of it. But now, you remove the fruit from your pocket and give it a quick polish on the sleeve of your shirt. When you bite into the fruit, it tastes wonderful. A plethora of exciting tastes never experienced before flood your senses. Oh! Ho, 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 ho! The schnozberries taste like schnozberries. That is great. Okay, so here's why. You know, I mentioned in did I mention this before? I don't know if I mentioned this before when I played in the last part, but here's why Decisions of the Elders removing deaths was kind of a bad idea. Because the deaths was one of the best parts. I mean, come on, that's hilarious. You just learn how to save right before you do stuff. Okay, so now we know it's poisonous. There are a few trees here, and the clover covering the jungle floor even thins out in parts. A log rests on one of the few sharp-edged rocks that are scattered about the area. Oh. Oh! Hey! You look inside the log and find one crusty old buckazoid. What? What's that doing here? No. Well, thanks. I think it already gave it to me, right? Yes, I have a buckazoids. Nice. The buckazoid is a flat piece of precious alien metal. You have one of them. Alright. Should I keep going that way, or should I go over here and try to head north? Oh! That looks cool. The area is cradled in dense foliage. The air is balmy, and the occasional pest bites at your skin. The only exit is to the south. The large carved rock formations to the north block the way, and the taller carvings extend from the jungle floor toward the dense canopy above. We're going to name this Humahula. The large rock carving in the boulder to the north has a ridiculous face with a large open mouth. Each of the totems depict faces from a culture unknown to you. Well, let's try this. The large smiling mouth is currently empty and open wide. You should try rephrasing that. Let's don't and say we did. Okay. I was like, death scene? Death scene? Okay, so the only way was south, so let's and over here, I think it was north and east. So, I can only go east, and over here, I believe I can only go east and west. So let's go take a look at what's over here, and, well, I should probably, you know, I'll just save over that. Oh, hey. The area is cradled in dense foliage. Okay, that's all actually repeating dialogue. And I get that because, obviously, you know, if you're in the same forest or the same jungle, it'll, you know, kind of feel the general same way in each area. So, while it is kind of a repeating text thing, I guess I'm not quite as worried. I would advise against it because sometimes because the way that I look at it, if I start reading it and I'm like, oh, it's the same text. My personal thing is I have a tendency of just skipping because it's like, oh, well, it's the same thing as I saw in the other area. So I'll go straight to look at house and look at that, you know, this little board right here, you know. But obviously, you know, at this point, I'm reading it out loud, so it I'm more likely to actually read the whole thing. Uh, Thick bushes block the way to the north and south. There is a small hut adjoined to the steep cliff to the east. You notice a small length of board propped against the door. And again, I'm not sure if that was completely necessary. Uh, you want to divulge information, but not too much. Because if you give too much information away, it's kind of like, oh, by the way, there's a thing there. Go pick it up. Like in the last room, like literally in this last room over here. Not technically, it's not a room, but excuse me, that's kind of what they call it in the adventure game world. In this room, they had the fruit sitting here. Now, it could have just said, there's a piece of fruit hanging from the bushes up north, but it didn't. And that's kind of a good thing, because it forces the player to make sure that they're following that basic, that basic rule. Look at everything, observe the area, and that adds in almost a little more of a challenge for the programmer, because then you have to actually, make sure that you can tell what things are, even with such a simplified graphics thing. So I'm not even going to worry about the board right now. I know it's there. Let's see. Few worn rocks are scattered about the area. You are much too weak to move such a heavy object. And see, this one does poke fun at you, but not, But it doesn't. It's not as bad as like Space Quest 6. That was just, again, I just did not like how they did that. So let's go take the board. You take the board. Is there something south? No. Okay, before I walk in here, let's see what's in here. Oh, hi. The room is aglow with a warm firelight. There is an unmade bed against the wall, and a large table to the south, and a small chest beside the door. A crooked old fellow wanders about the room, mumbling to himself. The chest is not locked, although the old man eyes you closely when you get near it. Well, let's try talking to him. Get closer. Oh, you. The old man clears his throat and raises an eyebrow when he looks at you.
Help me find my walking stick, you will. Without one begin my journey, I cannot.
Okie dokie. The papers, although in another language, seem to be a mix of recipes, maps, and pages torn from history books. One of the many pages has been deciphered and seems to describe the feeding habits of cave bees. Chapter 23. Feeding habits. Cave bees swarm near humid areas, feeding on perspiring animals and humans. Although completely blind, the bees have a built-in mechanism for the extraction of salt from liquids and tissue. One of the pages deals with folklore, describing a local primal cult. It is said that the mouth of the hungry homus will eat forever. A fabled strong man was once able to hold his jaws shut for a time and allow his friend passage into the dungeon. His friend was never heard from again. The remaining pages are indecipherable. You also see a bottle of glue on the table. You snag the glue from the table. Hey, he didn't kill me for that. And I'm not getting burnt by the fire. Thank goodness. The green, bubbling liquid looks rather unappealing and smells odd, but your mouth waters anyway. Oh, I'm gonna save. You stick your finger into the boiling liquid. It stings a little, but the stew soon cools and is a blend of alien tastes, but spicy and rich nonetheless. That's interesting. I got points for that. I wonder if I would have had a problem later on if I hadn't eaten. The chest is not locked, although the old okay, cool. The bed is quite unkempt, with ruffled sheets and small crumbs all over the mattress. There is nothing of interest on or under the bed. Alright, so I gotta find this guy a walking stick. The board is about 6 feet long. Although old, it's rather sturdy. No. Okay. Okay. I am thinking the board is the walking stick. I just need to trim it down using the mouth from the from Mr. Hakuna Matata up here. Let's try this out. Oh. I don't think that's going to work then because I'm not sure how many other ways you could say that. Oh, there we go. You try to move the jaw, but to no avail. You are the weakest weakling that ever made such a weak attempt. You. Okay. Interesting. How do I... What else do I got in my inventory? Oh, right. It's the tab button. I have rope, fruit, mask, crowbar. Crowbar. Let's try the crowbar on the face. That just said does not sound like a Space Quest thing you would do. I'm gonna use my crowbar on the guy's face. Oh my goodness. Um. Hmm. I have a lighter, fire stick, glue, buckazoids, rope. Um. Let me see. Is there? I'm gonna see what happens if I try to give him the board. Because I'm wondering if it'll give me some sort of idea of how to use the board. Oh, that's right. I can't go down there. Okay. The old man shakes his head at your offer.
No, that is much too big to be used as a walking stick.
You might think I'd understand that, but I don't. So I do gotta break it down. Uh, no. Well, let's see. The mouth isn't closing. Or I could just be a jerk. Dang! Okay, so we're not going the Donald Dowell method of this whole thing. Alright, the only way was to the east. No, it was, north and south, and then east is the building. Unless... Yeah, there's nothing there. Ugh. Oh, one of the trees that looks like you're has a low-lying branch that looks like you could reach it. Aha! This looks like a perfect walking stick. As you tear the limb from the tree, you are startled by a nearby shriek. Oh! Hey, give that back!
Uh,
The tree opens his mouth, and you place the limb inside. After chewing for a few minutes, he finally swallows and begins to speak.
Thank you, Mon. There's a rock wedged under my foot. Could you remove it for me? Ah, that's been bothering me for ages. Now go away.
You examine the rock you removed from the tree. It is a solid, polished chunk of amber. It looks valuable, so you pocket it. The hardened chunk of amber glistens slightly, and it looks like it could be worth a lot to the right collector. You can barely see a small insect embedded in the center of the rock. Jurassic Park. Okay, um, I'm gonna try something. Okay, no. Okay, I don't know if I, like, it gave me a point for doing that, but I think, but now I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with the amber? Do I get? Let's try giving the amber to the little guy. Darn it. So I had the walking stick, but I just fed it back to the guy. Oh, this thing is blowing right in my eyes. I have a fan right here because I'm in this kind of an alcove area here. So my desk is right here, and I've got a wall here, and then it's kind of like this little area. It's like my little zone. Unfortunately, it heats up like crazy, so I have to excuse me. I have to figure out how to keep it cool. Well, guys, okay. Hmm. I'm not sure exactly how to do this, so let's try. Darn. Hey, it was a shot in the dark. Uh, uh, I feel like that board is what I need. Let's let's see if I can try. Did I already try splitting the board with the? Darn it. I'm almost tempted to restore back and see what happens if I just simply walk away from the tree and not get the amber. I mean, I already got it, so let's just see what happens. I'll probably end up getting hurt. This is probably a death scenario, but we'll see what happens. The old man clears his throat and raises an eyebrow when he looks at you.
A walking stick. Perfect, this is. Many thanks, young one. Depart soon, I will.
Okay. So now if I go back, do I get in trouble? So I got a point for that too. So I wonder if there was a... Where's my arm? I wonder, okay, so now I go open chest. Whoop. Rummaging around in the old chest, you find a chunk of orium. Oh, it's two ways to do the same thing. The orium is clean and polished. The old man must cherish it. Okay, so either way, okay, so here's what I think. I think either way, of course, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get a valuable piece of stone. One way is is basically the tree is going to be angry at you, and the other way is that the you get it from the old man, the basically little pink Yoda. So the Orium is the key, or the item. It's called amber, right? Yeah. You have to look elsewhere for that. The large rock coving. Crud. Okay. What do I got? I got rope, amber, lighter, virus disc. I don't think the virus disc is going to be much use. Glue, buckazoids, key card, fruit. Oh, that's right. That's the breather. Mask, crowbar, and board. The rope is strong enough to support your weight, but there is nothing for it to catch. Maybe if you could attach something to the rope first. Wait, what? Ah. Uh... This is one of those kinds of puzzles, is it? Alright. I believe that I am out of time. So, that is it for this episode. Next episode, I will see if I can figure it out. I'd like to say for the record, if you'll look up at the points up above, you will notice I am at 24 of 101. So I'm almost a quarter of the way through the game already. I don't remember how long exactly this was, but most of the time when they do fan-made games, they tend to be shorter, which isn't always a bad thing. Short can mean that basically they were able to do a lot more with it. If you try to go with these huge, massive, expansive games, sometimes people can, especially if you're doing it by yourself, it can kind of split your attention up, and it doesn't come out as high quality as it could. But so far, this is really amazing. This is literally about as Space Quest as you can possibly get. So anyway, thank you everybody for dropping by. I really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit the notifications because otherwise you may not get told when I post up new videos. As well, hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Thanks again for dropping by, and as always, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.